The little rabbit had entered his sensitive season. His body burned with heat, twisting restlessly. Seeing his poor pet in such discomfort, the owner decided to find him a beautiful wife. But instead of being excited, the rabbit became increasingly uneasy. After all, he wasn't an ordinary male rabbit, he could get pregnant. If he lived with this new wife for a while and didn't have any babies, the owner might start suspecting that he was the problem. However, the moment the owner lifted the bridal veil, the trembling little rabbit froze, eyes widening in awe. Whoa, my wife looks like this. He couldn't have imagined that the stunning bride before him was a male rabbit, princeling CEO of the yaoi kingdom, who had been sold by his own subordinates as a female rabbit in order to save the moon rabbit lord. The little white rabbit, unwilling to be strangled by fate, accepted his miserable situation. By the time he saw the world outside again, he had already been brought home by his new owner. Meanwhile, the heat-stricken grey rabbit, Haru, stared at his new wife with glowing eyes, impatient to make babies. But the white rabbit only looked back with utter disgust. How can anyone be this dumb? He can't even tell male from female. Forget it, he thought, talking to an idiot will just lower my IQ. While searching for Elder Letu, he was suddenly startled by Haru's sudden appearance. Are you hungry? Haru asked innocently. Before the white rabbit could even curse at him, Haru wiggled his hips and hopped away to please the owner, leaving the white rabbit speechless. Does this fool have no shame at all? Moments later, a few blueberries rolled to his feet. When Haru told him that eating them would help him have 10 babies, the white rabbit flatly refused. He was a straight male. Thank you very much, no way he'd lose his dignity over a few berries. But his empty stomach growled in protest. Watching Haru devour the berries with such enjoyment, he gritted his teeth, battling between hunger and pride. Finally, he cautiously reached out a paw and grabbed one. If I eat this, I'll have to admit I'm his wife, he thought miserably. And I'll probably fall asleep right after. Just don't think about it. Just eat it. It's only a few berries. What's the worst that could happen? After convincing himself, the white rabbit took a bite. The sweet flavor burst across his tongue. So sweet. And just like that, Haru managed to marry his chubby little bride with only 3 blueberries. Not long after, the white rabbit fell fast asleep. That night, while the owner was sound asleep, the heat-crazed Haru couldn't hold back anymore. He tiptoed into the white rabbit's room, completely unaware of what chaos was about to unfold. The next morning, after sending the owner off, Haru hurriedly ran back to his wife. The white rabbit glared at him resentfully, a strange unease lingering in his chest. Something's wrong, but what? He thought. Never mind, just let me out of here. Haru gently cupped him in his hands, marveling at how soft and warm his wife felt. Wife, you're so soft, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, everything about you is so pretty. Feeling Haru's touch and hearing his flustered voice, the white rabbit's heart skipped a beat, then filled with anger. He jabbed a paw at Haru's nose and demanded, Tell me, besides you, is there any other rabbit here? Haru blinked, confused, thinking for a long moment. Do you mean, you, wife? The white rabbit nearly exploded. You idiot, I mean other females, any other females here? But when Haru shook his head seriously and said, No, there's no one else, the white rabbit froze in disbelief. He didn't want to believe him, but Haru's expression seemed far too genuine. Could it be that the moon rabbit isn't here after all? Was the message from the palace wrong? If the moon rabbit wasn't here, there was no reason for him to stay. So he sprinted toward the open field, trying with all his might to return to his human form, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't change back. Seeing his wife dash out into the meadow, Haru tilted his head in confusion, thinking she just wanted to enjoy the spring grass. So Haru immediately decided to cut the spring grass and get himself a new wife. Meanwhile, his dear little rabbit wife was lazily lounging under a straw hat, enjoying the cool shade. Just then, a small pebble struck the hat with a soft thunk. The white rabbit turned his head, only to see 2 of his subordinates frantically waving at him from afar. When he reached the doorway, The rabbit immediately started complaining. There's no moon rabbit here at all. Just one stupid, brainless male rabbit. I came all this way for nothing. Ugh, I could just strangle that inspector. But his subordinates brought shocking news. The moon rabbit might not necessarily be female, one said. Whether male or female, the moon rabbit can bear children. And there's a small bone protruding inside their mouth, that's said to be the moon rabbit's most sensitive spot. The white rabbit almost fell over. How am I supposed to check something like that? Ignoring his panic, his subordinates handed him a small pill. This is a transformation medicine, one said. And the Queen's message was short and cruel. Your Highness, decide for yourself. Before he could protest, the two ran off, leaving him fuming. He clenched his tiny paws. Unbelievable, I swear I'm surrounded by lunatics. Left with no other choice, he reluctantly swallowed the pill. But before the medicine could even take effect, Haru appeared behind him. Wife, did you forget you were trying to run away? Before he knew it, the white rabbit had been carried into the bathroom. Shivering, he looked up at Haru nervously. He'd just taken the transformation pill, what if it activated now? He'd be completely exposed. But Haru simply pointed at his backside. Apparently, when the rabbit tried to squeeze through the door crack earlier, his tail had brushed against dog poop. While he was still processing that humiliation, Haru started washing him. The white rabbit froze. I feel so unclean. But before he could pull away, a strange warmth began rising from his lower belly up to his face. Wait, what are you? Where are you touching? Haru didn't stop. He ignored the rabbit's protests and scrubbed even harder, determined to get him clean. Before long, the white rabbit went limp, his heartbeat racing wildly. A strange, tingling sensation coursed through his whole body. When Haru turned around to adjust the water temperature, he suddenly froze. Because before his very eyes, his beautiful wife had transformed into a man. Defined collarbones, sculpted abs, Haru couldn't help but reach out and poke him. The white rabbit's body tensed, tail fluffing up in alarm. He dodged the touch immediately, face burning. But shameless Haru's gaze drifted lower, his curiosity landing on a certain male feature. The atmosphere suddenly grew heated, too heated. The white rabbit nearly died of embarrassment. What the hell are you staring at? You pervert. He shoved Haru out of the room and slammed the door shut. You shameless freak. But Haru's eyes still shimmered with longing. He could still picture the sight of that strong, perfect body, those powerful biceps flexing under pale fur. Haru gulped hard. I thought my wife would be delicate and soft, but wow, no. He's incredible. A new thought struck him. If my wife's so amazing, then I should show her how cool I can be too. Meanwhile, the mortified white rabbit sat trembling inside the bathroom. I just want to go home, he muttered. Thinking back to how Haru had touched and looked at him, he clenched his teeth. I feel filthy. If that's how it's going to be, then fine, I'll fight back. You asked for it, you pervert. After composing himself, the rabbit stepped out. Haru had already laid out clean clothes for him. Seeing Haru's clumsy attempt to help, deliberately turning his back so as not to peek, the white rabbit couldn't help muttering, this idiot really is too pure for his own good. Trying to win his wife's favor, Haru prepared breakfast. But when the rabbit looked into the pot of the strange, gooey mixture, he could barely swallow. It's edible? He asked suspiciously. Haru beamed. It's love jelly. Love, what now? The rabbit lifted a spoonful skeptically. Pretty sure jelly isn't supposed to look like that. Still, the aroma was surprisingly good. After some hesitation, he took a small bite. His long ears instantly perked up. This tastes amazing. Before long, he was eating heartily. Then suddenly, Haru gently placed his hand over the rabbit's paw. The rabbit froze mid-bite. Haru's voice was soft, shy. Wife, when autumn comes, let's roast ginkgo nuts together. In winter, we can roast sweet potatoes and chestnuts. I'll peel them and feed you myself. You just got here, he continued, and you might be scared. But I promise, I'll protect you. I'll be a good husband. Will you be my family? The sudden confession left the white rabbit speechless. This idiot, he still thinks I'm a woman. He literally saw everything earlier. Does he want to turn me straight or something? Meanwhile, Haru nervously peeked through half-closed eyes when the rabbit didn't respond. To his surprise, the white rabbit suddenly leaned in close, so close Haru's heart started pounding. He squeezed his eyes shut, bracing himself for a kiss. But instead, the rabbit pried open Haru's mouth. Alright, now I just need to check if there's that bone inside. Before Haru could react, the rabbit stuck a finger into his mouth, only for Haru to bite down instinctively. Ow, what the hell are you doing? The rabbit yelped, pulling his hand back. You almost bit my finger off. Haru looked utterly aggrieved. Wife, you're the one being weird. Why are you sticking your fingers in my mouth? My jaw almost cracked. Stop whining, just open your mouth and let me see. No way, Haru huffed, pouting. Why do you want to look inside my mouth anyway? Do you have some kind of weird kink? Or are you looking for that moon rabbit thing you mentioned? Caught off guard, the white rabbit froze. So he figured it out. Trying to sound composed, he snorted. You're not the moon rabbit. So why do you even care? Why can't I be? Haru protested. Because it's impossible, the rabbit snapped. The moon rabbit is sacred and noble. How could it ever be a fool like you? Stung by the rejection, Haru clenched his fists. Then I'll just become the moon rabbit, he declared. The white rabbit rolled his eyes. You really are hopeless. That's not something you can work for, it's destiny. The moon rabbit is chosen by the heavens themselves. Haru tilted his head, unconcerned. That sounds boring. If it's all decided by fate, maybe the moon rabbit doesn't even want to be one. But if it were you, wife, maybe I'd believe in destiny after all. Those words struck the white rabbit's heart like lightning. He thought back to his own painful past, being half human. Half meow yaoi, ridiculed and ostracized since birth. So-called nobility had only ever brought him loneliness. His chest tightened. Shut up, just shut your mouth, he shouted, trying to drown out the tremor in his voice. But before he could finish, Haru bombarded him with questions. Wife, do you want to marry the moon rabbit and have babies? Does it have to be the moon rabbit? Can't it be me instead? I know I'm not the moon rabbit, Haru said earnestly. But I'll make you happy anyway. The white rabbit nearly lost his mind. Ah, this idiot is going to drive me insane. You pervert. Bunny immediately pointed a trembling finger at Haru. Didn't you see in the bath just now? I'm a male, you idiot. Bunny was shaking with anger, but Haru just nodded calmly. He didn't care whether Bunny was male or not, if he was beautiful. That was enough. Besides, Haru had already known from the start that Bunny was a boy. The overwhelming realization hit Bunny so hard his brain froze. Then why did you say you wanted to have babies with me? Haru took Bunny's hand and smiled. Wife, if I'm not really the moon rabbit, then what will you do? Bunny got goosebumps all over and yanked his hand back. Of course I'd leave here right away. But even as he said that, he hesitated. How exactly should I leave? Just say, goodbye, and go. Besides, he hadn't confirmed whether Haru had that mysterious cloth in his mouth or not. Finding such a convenient excuse, Bunny suddenly felt better, justified. Even. He sat down to eat, trying to look composed. But when he saw the strange dish Haru had brought over, Bunny doubted it was even edible. It's fried mugwort cake, Haru said cheerfully. Bunny sniffed it suspiciously before taking a bite. The moment it touched his tongue, he was conquered by its fragrance. It's delicious. Haru grinned like a little puppy, constantly serving Bunny more food. Bunny felt awkward under the attention. But when Haru said, you can pack up the leftover cakes and take them when you leave, can't have you starving on the way home. Bunny bit his tongue by accident. Tears welled up instantly. He's been running around preparing dinner, even worrying about me leaving. Is this just his final act of kindness? Seeing Bunny's pale face, Haru panicked. Ling Xiao, are you okay? Say something. Bunny turned to him silently. Wait a second, he's been calling me Ling Xiao this whole time. Before Bunny could think further, Haru suddenly smacked his back, hard. Ow, what the heck? I was worried, Haru said anxiously. You can talk. I thought you bit your tongue off. Quick, show me. He leaned in close. Too close. The air between them suddenly grew strange. But just as the tension was about to boil over, crash. They both jumped apart, startled. Bunny blinked toward the noise while Haru quickly began cleaning up. The master's back early. I'll handle the table, wife. Hurry and turn back into a bunny. When Haru finally looked back, Bunny was sitting motionless on the floor, staring at the cage with a miserable face. Then, like a scolded wife, Bunny crouched down and burst into tears. I can't turn into a rabbit anymore. Haru froze. He didn't know that Bunny had only turned into a cute little white rabbit yesterday thanks to a special elixir. I should have prepared more of that potion. Bunny whimpered pitifully. Haru suddenly stood up. I've got an idea. Wait here. Peeking out the door, he saw his master, Habi, dead drunk again. Perfect. He's drunk, hasn't eaten, and will probably pass out soon. If I fix this before he comes back, we're safe. He returned to Bunny. So you really can't change back? Bunny nodded weakly. Haru thought for a moment, then got an idea. Without warning, he leaned in and bit Bunny's neck. When nothing happened, he frowned. Why didn't you change? You shameless idiot. If you wanted to take advantage, just say so. Bunny's face darkened as he covered his mouth. You wall pinned me. I thought maybe a scare would work. On TV, they say even hiccups stop that way. Haru said innocently. Which lunatic told you to do it? Bunny was furious. Then suddenly, Haru, my precious boy, did you have a good day today? Habi, swaying drunk, stumbled in with a goofy grin, still clutching a gift for Haru. Before he could hand it over, he passed out snoring. Haru sighed softly, padded over, and touched his master's head. You worked hard today. Welcome home. Is he dead? Bunny's voice came from behind. Haru instantly turned back into his rabbit form. No, just drunk. Bunny frowned. Why do humans do this to themselves? It's ridiculous. Though he kept grumbling, he still helped carry Habi to his room. Then, the two rabbits finally had the evening themselves. Bunny couldn't understand. How can you stand serving humans like that, washing their faces, cleaning their feet? Haru smiled. Because I can eat well and sleep well. It's thanks to Master Habi. I should do something for him. Besides, I really like him. As long as he's happy, I'm happy too. Hearing that, Bunny's chest tightened. You're just a walking central heater, aren't you? Warm to everyone. Feeling Bunny's irritation, Haru panicked. No, it's not like that. I only like Habi and Ling Xiao. Bunny froze mid-chew, the seed stuck in his throat. To help Bunny through his sensitive period, the gray bunny had flirted, cuddled, and acted cute, successfully winning him over. But now, as Haru's eyes softened with warmth, Bunny pressed his palm over them. When he finally pulled his hand away, Haru's eyes were wet with tears. Then, pop. Both of them froze in awkward silence. You're really a rabbit, huh? Bunny muttered. Guess that woman wanted you for your sensitivity period, too. Haru wanted to run, but Bunny had already blocked his escape. Slowly, Bunny's gaze changed, from annoyance to something darker. Rumor had it, once moon rabbits tasted human affection, they could never go back. It was only a matter of time before desire took over. Later that night, Bunny sat on the balcony, crying. Am I insane? How could I do something so shameful? Seeing him like that, Haru tilted his head. Are you upset about something? Bunny didn't answer. Oh, you must still want to play that game, Haru said thoughtfully. Let's rest a bit first. Your stamina hasn't recovered yet. Bunny facepalmed. Unbelievable, this guy is beyond saving. At least, he sighed bitterly, I helped him through his sensitivity period. So, as repayment, Bunny said proudly, you could at least let me check if that piece of cloth is in your mouth. He was certain Haru would agree. The guy was always such a simple, gullible fool. If you still want more of my help, then behave and cooperate, Bunny added smugly. But to his surprise, Haru shut his mouth tight. No. Bunny blinked, completely dumbfounded. What do you mean, no? He grabbed Haru by the shoulders and shook him hard. Haru held up 4 fingers. At least help me for 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Bunny gaped. What do you want? To squeeze me dry like rabbit jerky? That's too long, 3 weeks. Tops. Haru pouted, clearly unhappy, but when he remembered Bunny's sharp memory and stubborn temper, he sighed and nodded. Fine, he muttered, then added slyly. But, can I touch you next time? Bunny's expression went blank. You crazy rabbit, what do you mean by touch? Haru hesitated, his hand sliding slowly down his shirt. Bunny nearly exploded. What kind of filthy talk is that? Haru snorted. You're so weird, wife. Just a moment ago you were all excited. Now you're suddenly pure and innocent again. If you're not willing, then the deal's off. He turned as if to kick Bunny out. Wait, don't be like that. Bunny grabbed his arm desperately. Can't we just hug instead? Seeing Bunny's flushed, embarrassed face, Haru suddenly grinned. Deal, that's settled. Then, ha ha ha. The abrupt change of mood left Bunny completely lost. That's it, just like that. But he didn't realize he had already fallen right into Haru's trap. Before Bunny could react, Haru crouched down again. But you have to promise, next time, don't sneak a peek at my head. All right? What do you take me for? I won't, Bunny huffed, turning his head away, face full of frustration. Why didn't I think this through? To please this infuriating little demon, the dignified Moon Rabbit Prince himself had been reduced to living as a human. Meanwhile, in the courtyard, 2 of Bunny's rabbit subordinates had quietly returned to visit. When they learned that their lord had found a way to test Haru's identity, both looked at him with sparkling admiration. They eagerly asked how he'd done it, but of course, certain unspeakable details couldn't just be told aloud. To make it easier for Bunny to fast during his stay, they brought him a generous supply of transformation pills. They wouldn't work immediately, but better than nothing. What kind of herb is this, though? Bunny asked curiously, sniffing the extra bundle. That's medicine for the sensitivity period. One of them explained. We're not sure Haru's really the moon rabbit, but among our kind, helping each other through the sensitive time is perfectly normal. Bunny froze, fur bristling. So you two, also, help each other during your sensitive periods? Before they could answer, Haru's voice called from outside. Bunny hurriedly shooed his subordinates away and hid the pills. As soon as he stepped out, the 2 rabbits peeked through the crack of the door, whispering, Lord Bunny and His Highness, it's like a master and servant relationship. Huh? To wake Haru's human master for work, Bunny hopped up on the bed and used a rabbit-style wake-up call, a good hard kick. He thought after getting himself a wife, he could enjoy a shameless 2-person life. But who would have guessed Haru was actually a heartless little scoundrel? Once the master left for work, Haru began planning what to cook. After all, the way to a man's heart was through his stomach. The moment Bunny heard there'd be good food, his eyes gleamed mischievously. After dinner, Haru went back to his daily routine, jotting down secret recipes. Then watching TV at night with Bunny by his side, until exhaustion, or his drunk master, Habi, brought the day to an end. But lately, Haru's life felt different. He found himself unconsciously looking for that little white rabbit who had fallen into his world like a shooting star. Whenever he heard Bunny's familiar voice, he couldn't help smiling. On rainy, cold days, Haru would bring out a steaming bowl of dumpling soup, sprinkled with spices. The single guys next door could practically cry from jealousy. Bunny, impatient as ever, wanted to dig in right away, forgetting he'd burned his mouth last time. Watch me, Haru said, demonstrating. Blow a few times first. Cool it down with some fairy breath. Then eat. Bunny mimicked him carefully. This silly, clueless rabbit, Haru thought fondly, at least his cooking's good. And sure enough, after the first bite, soft, sweet, perfectly chewy, Bunny's eyes lit up. It's so good. Watching Bunny eat with such innocent delight, Haru's hand moved of its own accord. Under the pretense of wiping the crumbs from Bunny's lips, he brushed against him, sending a spark between them. Dinner was forgotten. In Haru's eyes, another epic battle was about to begin. I think I've really fallen for this rabbit, Haru thought. Every time he saw Bunny clumsily working, or enjoying the food he cooked, he felt inexplicably happy, genuinely content. Meanwhile, Bunny had hidden his transformation pills and the fertility herbs inside a shoe cabinet. But the cunning Haru found them. The pills were easy to explain, but the herbs, that was harder. They're, tonics, Bunny lied quickly, good for the body, prevents colds and runny noses. He prayed Haru would buy it. And Haru did, but of course, he insisted, if they're good for the body, then we should both drink them. Bunny froze. Haru looked at him expectantly. Bunny began to panic. Has he figured it out? But then Haru frowned in mock seriousness. Ling Xiao, don't be so stingy, sharing is caring. Bunny tried to stop him. But it's really bitter. Bitter medicine works best, Haru said confidently. I'm not afraid. Bunny sighed. He didn't even know how the herb was supposed to be taken. So he tossed it into a pot. You're the one who wanted this. Don't blame me if anything happens. Before long, the medicine soup was ready. Looking at the color of the herbal soup, Bunny's face turned pale. This stuff won't kill me, right? Haru urged impatiently. Is it ready yet? Cold sweat ran down Bunny's back. He brought the bowl close to his nose and sniffed it. Can this thing really be eaten? One thing was certain, it smelled bitter. Just as Bunny was about to pour it out, Haru suddenly snatched the bowl from his hands and raised it to his lips. Wait, Bunny panicked and grabbed it back, gulping it down in one shot before Haru could. Right after swallowing, Bunny felt something strange stirring in his stomach. Haru pouted like an angry little wife. You selfish thing, you wouldn't even let me have a sip. Fine, I won't cook for you tonight. But before Bunny could reply, a wave of pain hit him. His face twisted in agony. Hey, what's wrong? Haru asked in alarm. Bunny didn't answer. He bolted outside, clutching his stomach, and collapsed on the ground, face pale as chalk. Damn it, who's the idiot that swapped the medicine for a sensitivity enhancer? Turns out, his two subordinates had mixed up the ingredients. At that moment, Haru slipped a pill into Bunny's mouth and handed him a glass of water. This is for the stomachache, Haru said gently. You'll feel better soon. Make sure to drink plenty of warm water. For the first time, Bunny felt cared for. A warmth bloomed in his chest as he sipped the water Haru had given him. He stole a glance at Haru. Haru walked over again, lightly brushing Bunny's forehead. You're sweating a lot. How did you suddenly get sick like this? Feeling the warmth of Haru's fingertips, Bunny's heart thumped faster. It feels so nice, so comforting. He's more worried about me than I am myself. Then a sudden thought struck him. Wait, this all started after I drank that medicine. Could he have noticed something? Would he break the deal? He shook his head furiously. No, I can't let that happen. I'll just say I messed up the recipe, that'll cover it. But before he could speak, Haru beat him to it. I'm sorry, Haru said sincerely. Maybe the food went bad. I didn't think it would spoil this early in the season. It's all my fault. He looked just like a guilty little puppy. Bunny swallowed hard, staring at him. If it weren't for his meddling, I wouldn't have drunk that medicine at all. So really, this is his fault. But instead of anger, an ache spread in his chest. Finally, he reached out and covered Haru's mouth. All right, stop talking. It's your fault, so don't apologize anymore, he murmured softly. Maybe I brewed it wrong. Besides, I've always had a weak stomach anyway. It must have been me who brewed it wrong, Bunny muttered weakly. Besides, my body's always been a bit fragile anyway. Before he could finish, his vision blurred, and he passed out cold. When he woke again, a small gray rabbit was sleeping peacefully beside him. Watching that tiny creature breathe softly, Bunny couldn't help reaching out to touch it, but the moment his finger brushed its fur, the little gray rabbit twitched, and Bunny, startled, quickly pulled it into his arms. And suddenly, there was a wedding. A rabbit wedding. The woman standing nearby, however, had no idea the bride she thought was female was actually male. The rabbit rolled his eyes dramatically, watching the woman and the little gray bunny snuggle close together. Goosebumps ran down his arms. When the woman turned to look at him, Bunny clenched his fist. Try to make me emotional, and I'll show you my iron fist of justice. To get through his sensitivity period, Haru shamelessly stretched out 4 fingers. Bunny's eyes widened in horror. Are you insane? That's way too much. But that night, when Bunny tried to be affectionate first, Haru unexpectedly pushed him away. Not tonight, he said flatly. Such a simple sentence, and yet it tormented Bunny all night long. Determined to get revenge, Bunny waited until Haru was cooking. Then, without warning, he pressed his hand hard against Haru's neck. Haru, still sensitive from earlier, felt a strange tingling rush down his spine, almost pleasant enough to make him moan. When he turned around, face red and heart racing, Bunny calmly rubbed his fingers together. There was a hair on your neck, he said matter-of-factly. Did you have to yank it out that hard? Haru frowned, turning back around, completely confused. Little did he know, Bunny wasn't finished with him yet. As Haru bent down to serve the food, Bunny leaned in again, so close that Haru's face turned bright red. Like a ripe cherry. Do I smell weird or something? Haru stammered. Bunny nodded seriously. Haru sniffed himself from head to toe but found nothing. Are you sure? I don't smell anything. Before he could finish, Bunny suddenly kicked him lightly. Flustered and breathless, Haru felt his composure slipping, but then Bunny abruptly turned away and walked off, leaving Haru frozen for a moment, smiling faintly, his eyes glinting with mischief. Later, during dinner, Haru set the spoon to Bunny's left side. It's too hot, let me blow on it for you, he said, bringing it toward Bunny's lips. Bunny's throat went dry, he reached out to take it, but his hand passed right through the air. Missing completely. He stared at his hand, dumbfounded. What's happening to me? Am I becoming sensitive? I drank that sensitivity potion, but instead of fixing it, it's getting worse. Does this mean I'll keep feeling like this, especially around him? Panic rose in Bunny's chest. Just then, Haru came back, that familiar scent drifting with him. Bunny swallowed hard, gulping down a few sips of water, then fled outside to the grass, wiping the corner of his mouth, though his eyes still kept flicking back toward Haru. Not long after, Habibi decided to hold a wedding ceremony for them both. 2 rabbits stood there, facing each other awkwardly as the music began. The groom, Habibi, announced playfully, "Do you promise to stay with your bride forever, until your fur turns white?" Habibi was having the time of his life, while Bunny scratched his cheek awkwardly. Leaning close to Haru's ear, Habibi whispered, "What do you say?" "Of course I do," Haru replied automatically. Bunny watched them, his eye twitching. They're having way too much fun with this. Then Habibi suddenly turned toward him. Bunny froze, every fur on his body standing on end. "Don't you dare come over here," he warned, fists clenched. "Try it, and see what happens." But Habibi's playful face slowly softened. He gently lifted Bunny into his arms. "Snow," he said quietly, "can I ask you something?" Haru, he's a kind bunny. He'd never hurt you, so please, stay with him. Be his family, okay? The word family stunned Bunny. For so long, he had longed for someone who loved him, and someone he could love back. Yet every rabbit he'd ever met had avoided him like the plague. He had once longed so deeply for a family, one that he could love. And that would love him in return. But all the other rabbits avoided him, shunning him as if he was something to be feared. The rabbit lay on his bed, Harabi's words from earlier that day echoing endlessly in his mind. In his daze, he slowly drifted into sleep. He had a dream, a spring dream. In it, he was dressed in wedding robes. The bride beside him kept her head bowed from the very beginning. The guests whispered among themselves. "Be careful, if he takes a liking to you. What will you do? So terrifying. I'd rather die than become the bride of a half-rabbit." The rabbit clenched his fists tightly. He knew that the bride before him had been forced into this. Dragged here only to play along. But even so, he didn't want it to happen like this. Just as he was about to speak up, to make everything clear, the bride suddenly leaned in toward him. "Let me help you through your sensitive period," the bride said softly. The rabbit froze, disbelief flickering in his eyes. Though his body was burning with discomfort, He didn't want to do this, he couldn't. But then, the bride suddenly lifted her red veil. It's fine, she whispered. He won't be able to satisfy you anyway. After all, Ling Xiao, aren't you my wife? At that moment, the rabbit saw the face beneath the veil, and his heart nearly stopped. It was him. Terrified, the rabbit jolted awake, gasping for breath. Cold sweat beaded on his forehead as he stared at his trembling hands. Thank goodness, it was just a dream. But before he could calm down, Haru's voice suddenly came from behind. Dreaming of ghosts again, or should I take the blame this time? The rabbit went pale. Facing Haru's questioning gaze, guilt flashed across his eyes. That horrifying scene from his dream replayed vividly in his mind. He clenched his fists. No, I didn't dream at all. But Haru saw right through the lie. Not planning to tell me, he murmured. You were even talking in your sleep. The rabbit's expression froze, he had no idea how to respond. Then Haru said quietly, or, should I help you with that? Those words, so eerily similar to the dream, made the rabbit's heart lurch. He stammered, help me with what? Haru simply pointed downward. Only then did the rabbit realize, after that spring dream, the little tent beneath the blanket was still standing tall.